Hello everyone, I am so happy to see you again. Today we are going to make a romantic three-course Valentine's Day dinner. Here's the menu. I'm serving a bright beet soup that is garnished with sour cream for the first course, chicken thighs braised in white wine and tarragon for the main course, roasted broccoli florets for a green vegetable side, and chocolate Cabernet Sauvignon cake for a decadent grand finale. The entire dinner can be prepared ahead of time. This means you can relax and be a guest at your own dinner party. We're going to start with the cake because it needs to bake and then cool before we can glaze it. So I am preheating my oven to 350 degrees Fahrenheit or 180 degrees Celsius. Now, this chocolate Cabernet Sauvignon cake is the cake that I make every year for Valentine's Day. It's moist, it's sweet but not too sweet, it's very fragrant and utterly delicious. So I need 2 cups or 256 grams of all-purpose flour, and I always weigh out my flour. A half teaspoon of salt, 1 cup of unsweetened cocoa powder, that's 128 grams. And then I need 1 1/4 teaspoons of baking soda. And all I have to do is whisk these dry ingredients. And the whisk will break up the clumps of the cocoa powder I'm using. And that is actually a cocoa powder that one of you sent to me. I forgot to mention that I will link this recipe in the description box below. I'm going to mix the wet ingredients in my stand mixer, but you could use electric beaters here or even a large bowl and a stout wooden spoon. So I need 1 cup or 226 grams of butter that is softened to room temperature, 1 3/4 cups of granulated sugar, that's 350 grams, I need to beat the butter and sugar until they turn light and fluffy. While the butter and sugar are beating together, might as well open my wine. This is actually a claret. It's a full-bodied red wine, very similar to Cabernet Sauvignon. Next, I need 2 large eggs, which I'm going to beat in one at a time. Here's 1 and 2. I also need a splash, about 1 teaspoon of pure vanilla extract. And I need to measure out my wine. 1 1/4 cups or 275 mils. In alternating additions, I'm going to add the dry ingredients and the wine. I can tell you right now that this cake is the perfect Valentine's date. I hope you will give it a try. I need to really scrape down this bowl to make sure all of the butter and the other ingredients are well incorporated. And there we are. And then I need my cake pan, which is a bundt pan. And my bundt pan is 10 inches in diameter. And I need to spray it with baking spray. Baking spray contains flour. In goes this gorgeous batter. Now I can attempt to level the top a bit. That looks good. And we need to bake this off until a skewer inserted into the cake comes out clean. That will take about 45 minutes. And while the cake is baking, I'm going to get cleaned up here, and then we can get started on the soup. I just ran to the store to buy beets. By the time I got home, the cake was done. And it smells just incredible. It's amazing what red wine can do to chocolate. Actually, I should say it's amazing what red wine can do for chocolate. Now, I'm going to let this cool for about 12 minutes, and then we can unmold it. Meantime, we can get started on the soup. I haven't made this beet soup in I think a few years, but it is one of my all-time favorites. It is absolutely delicious, and its color works out very well for Valentine's Day. And the only hard part about the soup is peeling about 2.5 pounds of beets. And I suspect if you wanted to, you could use canned beets for this recipe. And I'm wearing my food prep gloves because I don't want to stain my hands purple while I'm peeling these beets. Now I can take my gloves off. My blue and purple gloves. I also need one large yellow potato. That's around 300 grams. I'm going to peel it. And after I've peeled the potato, I will roughly chop it. I also need a large onion diced and some vegetable stock. And I have both already on hand. These are onions that you and I grew together in last summer's garden and that I diced and froze. And then I have the vegetable stock that we made in the previous episode. So let's make the soup. So I'm setting my 5-quart Dutch oven over medium heat. I need a drizzle of olive oil. You could use avocado oil here. Then I can add the equivalent of 1 large diced onion. I also want to add a ½ teaspoon of salt at this time and about a ¼ teaspoon of black pepper. Give this a quick stir. And then we can cover the pot and let the onions cook until they are soft and translucent. That will take about 5 minutes. Now that the onions have turned translucent, we can add the beets, the potato, 6 cups of vegetable stock, about a teaspoon of dried thyme leaves, stir. Then I'm going to crank up the heat, partially cover the pot, and let the soup boil away until or I should say simmer away, until the beets and potato are perfectly tender. That will take about 30 minutes. My friends, I cannot tell you how wonderful this cake smells. It's just heavenly. And here's what it looks like. It looks angelic. Now this cake needs to cool completely before we can glaze it. And I think I'm going to give it a thick pink glaze for Valentine's Day. And I really don't know how I'm going to resist diving into this cake before serving time. It is that tempting. So my beets and potatoes are perfectly tender, and I've let the soup cool for about 15 minutes. So now I want to add the juice of 1 lemon. Lemon will really brighten the aroma of this soup. This soup always reminds me of summer because when I was a kid, my parents grew beets, and my mother would serve them all summer long. And now we can puree the soup in the blender. And while the soup is pureeing, I'm going to rinse out my soup pot. We can return the soup back to the rinsed out pot. And then I want to taste the soup, both for viscosity and to determine whether or not it needs extra salt. Oh my goodness, it does not need extra salt. This soup is just perfect. Now I do want to clean out my blender. The soup is a little bit on the thick side, so I'm going to add some vegetable stock here. So I can thin out the soup and clean my blender at the same time. Well, partially clean my blender. This is the thickness that I like for this soup. I should mention that you can make this entire meal on the day you wish to serve it. I'm not serving the dinner until tomorrow, so I'm going to let the soup come to room temperature, and then I will cover it and refrigerate it. And then tomorrow we can glaze the cake and make the main course. We will also set the table. Sweet dreams, my friends, and I will see you in the morning. Good morning, everyone. I hope you slept well. So today we are going to glaze this gorgeous chocolate red wine cake. We're also going to prep a side dish and our main course, and I want to run to the flower store to grab maybe some pink roses, and we can make a little arrangement for the table. And for the cake glaze, I need confectioner's sugar, small amount of water. I never know how much to use. So I want a thick but pourable glaze. Oh, this is the consistency I want. Thick but pourable. And just for fun, I like to dye my Valentine's cake glaze with pink food coloring. And I don't like that shade of pink, so I'm going to add some red. Oh, this looks pretty. This is the color of roses I want to try to buy today. I'm going to put this cake on a plate. And I did have it wrapped, as you saw, in cling film overnight, just so the cake wouldn't dry out. And just like that, our cake is ready. And I will probably transfer it to a different plate after the glaze sets up. And we can put this away, and then we can put together a side dish. So I toyed with the idea of serving sauteed green beans as the vegetable side, but then I realized the beans would have to be sauteed at the last minute, and I don't want to do anything at the last minute. I want to be a guest at my own little dinner party. So I'm doing broccoli florets because they can be prepped well ahead of time. And maybe if people eat broccoli for a side dish, they won't feel guilty about eating chocolate red wine cake for dessert. Need olive oil, salt, and pepper. And toss. The olive oil will help the broccoli to caramelize as it roasts in the oven. And I can put the broccoli on a baking tray. Spread it out. I'm going to pop this into my refrigerator until close to serving time. Going to clean this up, and then we can make a short trip to the flower shop.
Yesterday there was sun and there was rain, beauty in the mundane. And as the light startled our eyes, we let go of disguise. And now there's something in the air.
So here are the flowers we bought. I was lucky. They did have soft pink roses. They also had a ton of red roses for Valentine's Day. But red roses are not my favorite thing. Floral preservative. Never wait for someone to send you flowers. Just buy them for yourself. And this is the arrangement here. And I think it looks nice enough to put in the parlor at dinner time. Let's go set the table. And now that the table is set, we can get started on the main course, which is chicken braised in white wine. And I'm going to use my braising pan over here. But you could use any oven-proof skillet with a lid. And braising simply means that you are cooking meat or vegetables in a small amount of liquid. And a little prep work. You need to cut up some shallots. I will also need some tarragon. I have some beautiful fresh tarragon over here. Give this a rough chop. I also need parsley, which we will use as a garnish. Both the parsley and the tarragon have a wonderful fresh fragrance. I love them. And I need some bacon. And I need to cut this bacon into crosswise strips or lardons. I can link the recipe I'm very loosely following in the description below. This is really more of a method than an actual recipe. Besides the bacon, the shallots, and the herbs, I also have some garlic pucks from homegrown garlic. You could use fresh garlic. I have some Dijon mustard, some dry white wine, and I need my chicken. You can use chicken breasts or chicken thighs, or even a whole chicken cut up for this recipe. I'm using thighs because they're just so forgiving, especially if you want to hold things over in a warm oven. And I'm just patting them dry with the paper towel. And I will salt them just before I go to brown them. If you heard a rattling sound, it was a stack of bowls that I have under my workstation. To the cooktop. This chicken dish will start on the stovetop and finish in the oven. So I've just added a little olive oil to my braising pan, and I have my pan over medium heat. Can add the bacon, which I will break up with one of my spurtles as the bacon cooks and renders its fat. This will take about 4 minutes. Now the bacon has rendered its fat, so now I'm going to transfer the bacon to a plate. And then I need to salt the skin side of my chicken thighs. I will also give them a light dusting of pepper. And then in they go into the bacon fat, skin side down. I'm going to do these in 2 batches. Now, for the best flavor, I want the chicken to brown to a very rich brown color. And that's going to take about 4 minutes on the skin side and about 2 minutes on the underside. It's really only just 2 of us for dinner tonight. So I added 1 more chicken thigh to my first batch. And I'm going to refrigerate. Well, I will put these in a food safe bag and refrigerate them and use them in another recipe tomorrow. Now that the chicken has browned on both sides, I'm going to transfer it to a plate. Now I need to add the shallot to the braising pan and let it cook just until it softens. When the shallot has softened, stir in garlic, Dijon mustard, and the tarragon. Then return the bacon and the chicken to the pan and add enough dry white wine to reach halfway up the sides of the chicken. Bring the wine to a rapid boil and then cover the pan and transfer it to a preheated 350 degree Fahrenheit oven for 40 minutes. I'm going to get cleaned up here, but I wanted to tell you that after the chicken has cooked for 40 minutes, I will uncover the pot and stir in, about a half cup to 1 cup of heavy cream. And then I will continue to cook the chicken for just another 10 minutes. I will also roast off the broccoli that we prepared earlier, and I will put the beet soup on the lowest flame on my cooktop. After I added the cream to the chicken, I let the chicken continue to cook, uncovered, for another 10 minutes. Then I kept the dish warm in a 200 degree Fahrenheit oven until serving time. Now I'm slicing up a baguette. I will serve the baguette along with the first course soup and the main course chicken. "30 minutes before serving time, I heated the beet soup over a low flame. Also, I roasted the broccoli florets in a 400 degree Fahrenheit oven for 20 minutes. To make the beet soup look extra festive, I garnished it with a swirl of sour cream. The braised chicken exceeded my wildest expectations. We absolutely adored it. I garnished the chicken with a shower of fresh parsley. This chocolate Cabernet Sauvignon cake was the perfect finish to this Valentine's dinner. We practically inhaled it. Well, my spouse and I thought this dinner was about as spectacular can be, and we both hope that you will give the same dinner a try someday. All of the dishes are very easy to make, and you can make everything well ahead of time. Now, I will have another video for you on Sunday, and I can't wait to see you again. And until then, please treat yourself very, very well, and I hope you have a wonderful Valentine's Day. Bye for now, friends.